Astu, let's begin. Chhatram suchhatro vikhyato lokas sarvashrayah kramaha mundo virupo vikruto dandi kundi vikurvanaha. Chhatram, he is the umbrella. Shiva is himself uh, the one who protects us from the tapatraya, as we say it, the heat of pain and suffering and agony of samsara, chatram. Suchatraha, he bears a very beautiful umbrella with him, which is of course Ganga itself, a natural umbrella, so as to protect him from, to always keep him cool. Suchatraha, Vikhyataha, one who is uh, completely immersed in fame. Vikhyataha. Khyata itself means one who has lots of fame, very famous. Vikhyataha, one who is completely overflowing and in abundance with fame and popularity. Vikhyataha. Lokaha, he is the entire world. Sarvashrayaha, one who is sought, uh, or one whom everybody approaches for taking ashraya. Ashraya means to surrender, to make him their home. One who becomes the home for every living creature. Sarvashraya kramaha. Kramaha is one who walks, or the actual path, the krama. To take a stride is called, to take a stroll is called kramaha. Mundaha. Mundaha is the head. He represents the head, therefore representing the most prominent anga, organ of the body. Anga is organ. Mundaha, Virupaha, one who has a very ugly countenance. Why is that? Because we have heard this name Virupaksha, right? Because his akshas, his eyes, in his form as Kala Bhairava, they actually look uh, skewed. We say squint eyes, right? So that is called Virupaksha. And his entire form sometimes is so ferocious, so grotesque that it becomes ugly to look at even. So Virupaha, and of course bedecked with all these skulls, blood dripping knife, the sword, etc. All contribute to the ugliness in his form. Virupaha. Vikritaha, one who is unnatural. Vikrita, Prakrita means which is natural. Vikriti or Vikrita means that which is unnatural. Shiva thus representing all elements of nature and all the unnatural elements of society and nature too. Vikritaha. Uh, and so Prakrita means nature. Samskrita means civilization. Samskriti means civilization. Whereas Vikriti means that which is neither natural nor civilized. So something which is both unnatural or paranormal and outside that of civilization. So for example, the Rakshasas are said to be living in forests. So they are still Prakritas. Whereas humans, the Naras, live in the civilization. So they are Samskritas. The Devas, of course, they are superior to both these, but not quite unnatural nor out of beyond civilization, non-civilized. So it refers to people who live on the boundary of uh, being civilized and being natural. So that is called Vikriti. And it can also refer to deeds which are very unnatural and in fact so criminal, so evil that not even animals would do them. So that is can also be referred to as Vikrita, and Shiva represents such ghastly sins also. Vikritaha. Dandi. Dandi is one who has a danda as a sannyasi. Kundi. Kunda is one who has a kamandalu, a pot of water, kunda. Vikurvanaha, one who we have seen he is Vikrata, that which is unnatural, and he is also Vikurvanaha, one who is responsible for bringing in unnaturalities into existence. Vikurvanaha. Okay. हर्यक्षः ककुभो वज्रो शतजिह्वः सहस्रपात् सहस्रमूर्धा देवेन्द्रः सर्वदेवमयो गुरुः. Haryaksha, one who has the eyes of a lion, Haryaksha. So therefore, who glares, whose gaze itself is so royal, so filled with enormity and pride and that which brings a sense of awe in those who look upon him. Hariyakshaha Kakubhaha. Kakubha means the directions. So we have seen how Shiva is Kala Swarupi. He is time, whereas Shakti is space. Dishaha Kakubhaha. But Shiva is equal to Shakti, therefore Shiva is also equal to space. Therefore Kakubhaha. Hariyakshah Kakubho Vajro. And in fact, a very interesting mantra comes to mind when to relate how Rudras, the picture, the 11 Rudras actually occupy all of space. So it goes in this like this in the Rudram, the Namakam. Um, Tesham, I think Savita ma'am can relate to this. What is that? Just give me a moment.
So which Chamakam?
No, the Namakam, the last one before Triambakam Yajamahe. Namo. Uh,
10th one, sir?
Yes.
One.
10th one. 10th one.
1 minute, sir. Give me 2 minutes.
The- hmm. Let me just tell that mantra. It is very beautiful. I just want to make that mention here. Hmm. ये विविध्यन्ति पात्रेष्विवतो जनान् ये पथां पतिरक्ष ऐलप्रदायव्यतः ये तीर्थानि प्रचरन्ति सृगावन्तो निषङ्गिणः य एतावन्तश्च भूयागंसश्च दिशो रुद्रावितस्थिरे तेषागं सहस्रयोजने वधन्वानि तन्मसि. And what comes after that? Teshagam sahasrayojane vadhanvani tanmasi. Namo rudrebhyo. I got it. So Namo rudrebhyo ye prithivya ye antarikshe ye divye shamanno vato varshamishavaste dasha prachir dasha dakshina dasha pratichir dashodicir dashordhvaste नमस्ते नो मृडयन्तु ते यन् विष्मो यश्च नो द्वेष्टितं वोजम्भे दधामि. So this mantra says, which is taken from the Rudram, it says, Namaste Namo Rudrebhyaha. So I'm just sending that picture of the 11 Rudras on the group. Uh, Namo Rudrebhyo, the prostration, salutations to the Rudras, the 11 Rudras. Namo Rudrebhyo, ye Prithivyam, who occupy the earth. Ye Prithivyam, ye Antarikshe, those who occupy the atmosphere. Ye Antarikshe, ye Divi, and those who occupy the space and sky itself. So, Bhur Bhuvas Suvaha, the Bhu, the earthly plane. Bhuva, which means the atmospheric planes, spheres, and then the cosmic spheres, sky. Ye Prithivyam, ye Antarikshe, ye Divi, Yeshamannam Vata Ishavaha. So, what grows on earth? It is Anna, food. Annam. What exists in the atmosphere? Vata, which means uh, air or gases. Yesham Anna Ishavas Annam Ishavaha. And what exists in the sky are rays of sun or of particles of stars, of the moon, etc. So, Yesham Namo Rudrebhyo ye Prithivyam ye Antarikshe ye Divi Yeshamannam Vata Ishavastebhyo. And to them, Tebhyaha, Dasha Prachihi. The 10, I do 10 salutations to them who occupy the east direction. Dasha Prachir, Dasha Dakshinaha. 10 in the to the south. Dasha Pratichihi to the west 10 and Dasha Udichihi 10 to the north and 10 to up, urdhva, dashordhvastebhyo namaste. No mridayantu. Let them all be pleased with us who occupy all these five most cardinal directions, and those who are 11 in number who occupy the Bhur, Bhuvas, and the Suva spheres. And it goes on to say that those whom we hate, which means this Rishi speaking, that those who we hate and those who hate us in return, may we, we put them all under your care. And he's actually being sarcastic there. It means we are going to put them all into your blazing mouth of fire. So, which means you are the one to swallow them up. You are to swallow them up. And then it continues Triambakam Yajamahe and so on. So Kakubha, Shiva represents in his form as the 11 Rudras, occupy the 10 cardinal directions and one inner direction, which is the as Atma itself. So he is the Kakubha. Salutations to him. Vajraha, who is as powerful and as unbreakable as diamond. Vajra in Sanskritam also refers to lightning bolt, which is why Indra is said to have the Vajrayudha. So he is as powerful and as quick and agile as a shard of lightning. And he, of course, is the lord of weather and climate. He is the lord of hurricanes, and we see hurricanes most associated with lightning and thunderstorms. And Shatajihvaha, he comes with 100 jihva. Jihva means tongues. So here tongues refers to the flames of fire which are spewing out from the Agni. And so he is referred therefore as Shatajihva in order to allude to his fiery nature, his control or dominance over the nature of fire. Sahasrapad, he has 1,000 legs. And this again takes us back to the Purusha Suktam where he is told, Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha, Sahasra Akshaha, Sahasrapad. This Purusha, this great being which we call God, has thousands of eyes, thousands of heads, and thousands of hands and feet, limbs. So it doesn't literally mean it is some kind of a monster, but it only means that he exists in and through all of us, thereby all our hands are his hands or its hands, and all our heads and eyes are its. So Sahasrapath, Sahasra Murdha, again, 1,000 heads. Devendraha, one who is the lord of the gods, which is Indra itself. So Devendraha, Sarva Deva Mayaha. And so to sum it all up, it says he is the complete material from which all the devas are built. Sarva Deva Mayaha. His entire being itself is permeated by the devas. In his form as Vishwarupa, even when Sri Krishna shows the Vishwarupa, Arjuna describes as seeing Rudro Marutaha Tunvanti Devasaha Divya Shastraihi, etc. So all these Siddhas, Munis, Pungavas, etc. are seen within the body of Sri Krishna in his Vishwarupa form, which is nothing but Shiva in his original form itself too. Sarva Deva Mayaha Guruhu, as Dakshinamurti, he is Guru. Now, one other interesting thing is in each yuga, uh, Shiva and Vishnu take chances in being the Guru of that yuga. So, for example, in the Satya Yuga, in the first yuga, Shiva took upon him the responsibility as being the Guru, and so he became the Adi Guru or Dakshinamurti, one who actually transmitted the knowledge he has in complete silence. And in fact, the people, the Shishyas there were so eligible and they were themselves so advanced that though they had come to Dakshinamurti with questions, the Saptarishis and the other yoginis, all their questions were answered without even having uttered a word or heard actually practically a word from Dakshinamurti. So his entire being itself was enough to answer their questions and take them to Brahmajnana. Whereas in the second yuga, which is the Treta Yuga, it is, I mean, people still associate Dattatreya with, some of them associate with them with Vishnu, some of them with Shiva. But regardless, so it was the God in the form as Dattatreya who actually comes in the Treta Yuga to show to people how a rebellious form or a blasphemous form can be reconciled with the most profound of wisdom. So, in fact, he is the author of a very radically Advaitic text called the Avadhuta Gita. And he also finds many mentions throughout the Mahabharata and the Ramayana as having been the guru of Gautama, of Parashurama himself, and also of Atri, his own father, and many other such saints who have learned. And he was actually one of the most elite gurus. Elite in the sense, only those, again, similar to Dakshinamurti, those who were very qualified themselves, having done so much tapasya, were had the good fortune of having Dattatreya as the guru. For others, he actually came off as being a madman, just a person with rags, sometimes naked, who would roll on the ground, have dogs around him. Sometimes he would shout, sometimes he would scream, sometimes he would just cry. Sometimes he was spotted in the jungles, just eating meat like a tribal. Sometimes in civilization, sometimes he would go to a temple and, set aside the murti and himself sit there. And many crazy things he would do, which was quite blasphemous to the rigid mind and a religious mind. But those who had gone beyond this ideas of right and wrong, good and bad, and had themselves led a very dharmic life, they were actually blessed by the teachings of Advaita by Avadhuta Dattatreya. Then he's quite popular in the Deccan and the South Deccan regions, Dattatreya. And then in the Dwapara Yuga, it was mm, Vishnu who came down in the form as Veda Vyasa. Of course, all our great scriptures today have been recompiled, edited out by Veda Vyasa himself, who wrote literature after literature, itihasas after itihasas, the great Mahabharata, the Ashtadasha Puranas, the Brahma Sutras, and the Upapuranas. Many of them are actually uh, associated with, attributed to Vedavyasa himself. So and in fact, also a Bhashya on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So it's called the Vyasa Bhashya. So yeah, there is some controversy as to whether it is exactly this Vyasa himself who wrote it, but still, we can say it. We can understand that it was Vyasa himself who did so many works, and these are not just simple works. These are not just 100 or 200 pages books. They are so voluminous that even just the Bhagavata Purana itself would take up half a shelf of space because they are so voluminous. And the Mahabharata, of course, 21 volumes in the critical edition, lots and lots of outpouring, uh, literary outpouring, and of course also played a great significant role in guiding the Pandavas and the Kauravas in the Kurukshetra. He was also the father of the Shuka Maharshi, the sage who is said to have been born enlightened, Shuka, and he has contributed so much to, again, the uh, dividing the Vedas into the four which we call as Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. Though he actually did not compose anything, he was responsible for systematizing the learning too. Again, lots of contributions as Veda Vyasa, as the guru of the Dwapara Yuga. So there it was the written word which played a significant role. In the first yuga, it was just silence. In the second, it was the act, the physical appearance, the crazy things that Dattatreya would do, which taught people a lesson, or they understood many mystical things from his behavior. In the third, it was the written word. And in the fourth, it was Adi Shankaracharya, who, as an Amsha of Shiva, who became the guru of Kali Yuga. And here, he He wrote, of course, so many, I think about 120 granthas are attributed to him. Of course, many Prakarana Granthas, many Bhashya Granthas, and many Stotra Granthas too. So, in the Kali Yuga, because people like myself are quite dumb, he actually had to use both the written word. So, he composed, he also talked about it a lot, and therefore spread the word and the message across throughout India, the then Bharata, the four corners. And so he actually had to actively participate in the, so for example, the rejuvenation of temples. He had to talk to people, debate with people, show them the correct and the logical conclusions. And he also had to do many Digvijaya Yatras and so on. So in the Kali Yuga, it was Adi Shankaracharya. Anyway, the entire point here is that the gurus have come yuga after yuga, and from them many other sub-gurus, so to speak. I mean, no offense to them, and just that from this main principle of being a guru, Guru Tattva, many people through the paramparas have taken upon themselves to guide continually people around them, to take them towards from asatoma sadgamaya, from falsehood unto truth, from darkness tamasoma jyotirgamaya, unto light, and from mortality, from change, and from the material sphere to amritam, to the spiritual unchanging spheres. So this is the entire idea of Shiva himself being this tattva of guru. And by the way, it is also said, I mean, I think one of the abhangs of Namadev, very famously, he says, mm, Guru Vithala and Guru Devata Vithala. So now you see, this Guru Devata is actually a very technical term. So Guru Devata actually means the principle behind the Guru, or that knowledge, or that uh, spark which actually directs the Guru. And through the Guru, uh, it guides the others as well. So that is Guru Devata. And therefore, because the Guru Devata is more important, which is the soul itself, the Sanatana Dharma has survived, because despite there being many gurus, many great gurus, I mean, there is no need for comparison or competition between them. All of them are great. So how are we all able to coexist? It is because we understand, just as there is one God and all of the others are many manifestations of the same. So there is one Guru Tattva, or the Guru Devata Tattva, which in this context we can call it as Shiva, Shivatvam. And from that knowledge, from that source of all knowledge and the fountain of all wisdom, the many gurus, the mortal forms of the gurus have come as avatars, as avatara purushas to guide us. So there is, in fact, no room in our culture for competition or fanaticism fights with about one particular guru. Is my guru better or your guru better, etc. All that is quite silly, because the culture we have has recognized that there is complete union between all the gurus in their knowledge. Guru so there's a question in the chat. Why is Shiva given such negative qualities? Again, like I said, ma'am, that Shiva is all present. So now the most fundamental question any kid would ask is, then is he present? Like how Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlada, is he present in the pillar? Is he present on the bed? Is he present in the laptop, etc.? So yeah, we may say, yeah, because he may be present in the atoms. Yes, he may be present in these two. So then we also say God is present in all of us. So then is he present in the evil people? Is he present in the Rakshasas? Is he present in, in all these Asuras? Then we will have to admit that yes, he is present there too. So, though he may not literally participate in those activities, as a Sakshi, he is definitely present in all of us. And just as he does not, as a Sakshi in me, he's actually not participating, if at all I engage in any good activities. So all the credit actually goes to this body and the mind called Sudarshan, and not to the Atma, because the Atma is not participating in any of this. So the Bhagavad Gita shloka says, नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापं न चैव सुकृतं विभुः अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः. It says the Atma, the Paramatma itself never takes upon any responsibility of either dealing with the papa or punya, neither with the good action nor bad action or the consequences thereof. Nadatte kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhuhu. Vibhu means the great God or the Atma. And so then what happens? It is ajnanenavritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavah. It is because the knowledge, the true knowledge which had to come in the mind of these living creatures is absent, or it has been covered or concealed and veiled by ajnana, by ignorance. And ignorance of what? Ignorance of that true nature of Shiva itself. Therefore, all these animals and creatures and humans, they engage in activities. That is the entire basic philosophy, which says God, Paramatma, is a Sakshi alone. He neither participates. He may hear our prayers, but he actually will not participate. That's a very sad thing to say, actually, because then it makes us question what even is the point of all these prayers, etc. But so that's another discussion. But for now, we can say that Paramatma, in his true sense, is just a complete unparticipative witness. And in that sense, he is omnipresent. Therefore, neither good nor bad he is. So then what is the point of telling him he's Dandi, Kundi, Vikurbana, Loka, Asha, etc. when he's just the Sakshi? So then there was no point in elaborating these 1008 names also, because you can just say he's the Sakshi, he's the unparticipating Sakshi, and we would be done with it. But because we are also willing to accredit the good things of the world to that unchanging uh, tattva, to that unchanging principle which we call Shiva, necessarily to avoid contradiction and to reconcile, we will also have to associate or attribute the bad things of the world also to the same entity. So it is not like in other cultures, where, for example, Zoroastrianism, it is said to be there are two eternal beings, one God and second the devil. So in that system, that framework, we can easily say all the good things are the world are the doings of God, the good being called Ahura Mazda, and the bad things of the world are all by Angramanyu, the evil doer. Similarly, is the case with the other philosophy, I mean, the other cultures too, where we have God and Satan, we have God and Shaitan, Allah and Shaitan, and so on. But such a thing does not exist because we in our culture never, I mean, we recognize that this good bad distinction, good qualities, bad qualities, positive, negative qualities are completely a lens or uh, a distinction, a discrimination which the human mind alone makes. And owing to that, if we are ready to associate the good things of the world to this singular entity, at the same breath, we must also associate the negative ones. So that could be the reason why they said so. And moreover, the ultimate thing is to become like Shiva, untouched by both good and bad, to become just a witness. And so, by associating and remembering that even the good and bad both are Shiva, we become detached from both of them. So, that could be the other consequence of having described God itself in both these flavors. सहस्रबाहुः सर्वाङ्गः शरण्यः सर्वलोककृत् पवित्रं त्रिककुन्मन्त्रः कनिष्ठः कृष्णपिङ्गलः. He has 1,000 arms. He has the body of all beings, Sarvangaha. Sharanyaha, one who is sought for any troubles. When we are in any trouble, we take the Sharanarthi, we say. One who we take the refuge in him. So he is called the Sharanya. Sharana Yogyaha, one who is worthy of taking refuge under, is called Sharanyaha. Sarvaloka Krita, he who created, Krit means to create, Krit, create. Sarva Loka, all the different worlds and dimensions. I mean, science, in some science fiction, they're saying there are some 13 dimensions of the universe and all this string theory, that theory, etc. I'm not saying this is exactly that, but it's very interesting to note that such a correlation is also happening where they are admitting of many different parallel universes and mm, different dimensions, not just the three that we are aware of. So he is God, or Shiva is said to be the creator of all of this. Pavitram, very holy. Trikakut. Kakut means the shoulder, uh, not shoulder exactly. What is it called? The hump, the bump that we see on Nandi, that is called Kakut. And Rama is called Kakutstha. And that comes from Kakut means one who sits on the hump of that bull. And in those days, I mean, a person who was the king or of great importance was said to go around the city sitting on a white bull or a very well decorated ox. So he was called the Kakutstha. And because Rama was born in such a great lineage, he is called Kakutstha. And this actually came from the first imagery of Shiva having sat on Nandi. And so that depicted the enormity, the majesty of the kings because they were as good as Shiva themselves. Kakut. And so three kakut means one who has three bumps, three humps on the shoulder. Again, it refers to a very special category like a Nandi, or special bulls, maybe like camels, etc. Maybe it was an interbreed between the two, a hybrid, which had three humps. And philosophically, it means one who is in charge of the three states of mind. What are they? The Jagrat, the waking mind, Swapna, the dreaming mind, and Sushupti, the sleeping or the completely shut off mind. For example, even in our laptops, we have this idea. So now the laptop is running, it is in awake mode. And then if I go out for some work, I will just put it on screensaver. So things will be happening in the background, so that we can call as the swapna, the sleep state or the dreaming state of the laptop. Whereas when I power it off completely and disconnect it from the power supply, it goes into sushupti. All the information is still there. It is still stored in the RAM and the hard disks, and all the processes are ready to resume, but they just don't have. They are cut off from each other because there is no power supply. So these are the three states of a laptop. Similarly, is the case with us, and they are also referred to as the kakut, the three states of mind. Three kakut, one who is in charge of the three states of mind, and mantra. We have discussed at length yesterday why he is the mantra. Kanishtaha, he is the smallest amongst people, amongst things. So it means he is also the smallest particle, like an atom. Kanishtaha. Again, one other very similar idea comes from the Mahanarayana Upanishad, which says, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atma Gariyan Nihitosya Jantoh. So this Jantus, these creatures, Atma, the self, how is it? It is told Anoraniyan. It is the smallest particle of the smallest thing. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. It is also the biggest of any big thing that we can conceive of. Mahato Mahiyan, it's bigger than that. Atma Guhayam Nihitosya Jantoh. It is present in the Guha. I think it was Bhavani ma'am who was talking about this heart center, the cave of the heart, which even Ramana Maharshi has often times talked about. So in the Guha, in the cave, it is said to reside. And again, you see, this trope of living in a cave of a yogi, etc., is again directly coming from Shiva itself. Kanishta is the smallest thing. Krishna Pingalaha. Krishna Pingalaha, he is of the form which is of dark brown. Krishna Pingala means a brown or an orangish hue. Krishna Pingala means one who has darkish brown, dark brownish features. So like a brass, like copper. He's also sometimes called Tamra Jati, because he has the hue of Tamra. of copper. Krishna Pingala. ब्रह्मदंड विनिर्माता शतघ्नीपाश शक्तिमान पद्मगर्भो महागर्भो ब्रह्मगर्भो जलोद्भवः. Brahmadanda Vinirmata. Brahmadanda, if you guys are not aware, is the danda which the rishis keep their hand over while doing japas. That's called the Brahmadanda, which incidentally Vasishtha Brahmarshi used to counterattack or to defend himself from uh, Kaushika's weapons, the magical weapons. Maybe we can discuss that story one other day. So this Brahmadanda is the stem that they use for tapasya. Brahmadanda Vinirmata. So he actually created this structure. Why? Because he is the first yogi, and so first he conceived this idea of having um, an arm rest while doing japa, because it is easier to actually do japa for longer periods of time when the hand is rested instead of keeping it. Keeping it in dhyana mudra is also good, in jnana mudra is also good. However, for longer periods when you have to turn the rosary around, maybe it makes more ergonomic sense to have the hand resting like that. Brahmadanda Vinirmata Shatagni. Shatagni means a pistol. So it was, not exactly a pistol, but the olden equivalent of whatever the pistol is. So they would shoot these small balls of stone or very carved gun ball figures. So these particles were shot mm, using that particular weapon that is called Shatagni, because it would fire 1,000 bolts. It was called Shatagni, which would fire or hit 100 times. Shatagni actually. Pasha is the noose. Shakti is the spear which Murugan holds. Shakti, Shaktayudha. Shatagni Pasha Shaktiman. He who wields these three weapons, these three weapons, Pasha representing death, Shakti representing, of course, his own power, and Shatagni representing, uh, you see, Pasha is said to be an astra, and Shakti is also an astra, which means close combat weapons. Whereas Shatagni is you can shoot it from afar. So it's a long distance weapon. So he is the master of death as well as the close combat and the far combat weapons. Padmagarbha, one who is born, who has the lotus in his garbha, in his navel or in his stomach, which is Vishnu. Mahagarbha, the great fetus, which is Brahma himself. Brahmagarbha, one who has Brahma itself as his fetus, which means one who is the father of Brahma. And Jalodbhavaha, one who is born from water, which refers to Vishnu, because Vishnu is said to have been created from the apas, from the ethereal cosmic waters. Again, you see, who is born from water? It is Vishnu. And who is the lord of the water tattva? Vishnu. And in the body, where is the apas tattva? In the Swadhisthana, the second chakra after, from below, which is just after Mooladhara. And who is the lord of that chakra? Again, once again, Vishnu. So Jalodbhava refers to Shiva in his tattva as Vishnu. Gabhastir Brahma Krit Brahmi Brahmavid Brahmano Gatihi Anantarupo Naikatma Tigmateja Swayambhuvaha. Gabhasti means those rays of powerful, energy draining rays of the sun. They are called Gabhasti. It also refers to those scorching heat of the sun. So he is that Gabhasti. Brahmakrit, the creator of Brahma. Brahmi, one who controls Brahma. Not only has he created Brahma, but he is the boss of Brahma. Brahmavid, he also knows the supreme Brahma itself. He knows the supreme tattva as the yogi, knowing, being drenched in the bliss of samadhi always. He knows what it means to be the Nirguna form, Brahmavid, Brahmano Gatihi, Brahmanaha, one who is completely the manifestation of the Brahmajnana. He is actually called a Brahmana. Again, it may or may not refer to the Jati or the Varna, but in this context, it refers to uh, this person, this enlightened person who is referred to as the Brahmana. And how is that? Because even in the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, Brahmavidapnoti param tadeshabhyukta satyam jnanamanantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman सोऽश्नुते सर्वान् कामान् सः ब्रह्मणा विपश्चितेति etc. So it says one who knows Brahma, Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati, Brahmavid apnoti param, he becomes the complete, the ultimate. He or she actually has reached the complete fulfillment, and he becomes, or she itself becomes, the supremost, supermost, superlative tattva there ever is, which is called para or Paramatma or Brahma, whatever. And therefore, one who actually has this experiential knowledge of that Brahma is said to be Brahma itself, the living, the manifest form of Brahma itself, which is called Brahmana. Shiva is also that. Gatihi, his movement, all sorts of movement. So basically, kinetic energy is Shiva itself. Ananta Rupaha, infinite forms. Naikatma, infinite souls. Because if there are many forms, there should also be the souls to enliven them. So because he is also infinite forms, he also is the representation of infinite souls. Naikatma Tigma Tejaha, whose spiritual and physical luminosity is Tigma, is very sharp, very severe, and very pointed. It's not really like the sun also, because the sun it spreads its illuminance in all directions. So Tigma Teja means one which is very focused, maybe like a nuke, a nuclear weapon, because all that potential chemical energy, that nuclear energy, is stored and focused at one particular point, and therefore it causes the ultimate destruction. So he is like that, Tigma Teja. Maybe if any government or ISRO scientists would ever hear this video in the future, this is one very interesting word for naming a nuclear weapon, a nuclear warhead. Tigma Tejas, Tigma Tejas. Swayambhuvaha. Swayambhuva is born of himself. There is no creator of Shiva. There is no. And why is that so? Because, see, ultimately we can keep questioning. So this becomes ad infinitum question, right? You can keep questioning who is the creator of God, who is the father of that father, who created God, who is the father of that father of that father or mother, whatever, and so on. So there, to put an end to this series of infinite questions, this loop of questions, we necessarily have to say one entity created itself. So that will end that loop. It will cut short the entire logic so that we are not lost in regressive infinite loops. Swayambhuva, so he is that, the source, the primary. You see, even today we keep asking, even scientifically, we keep asking what caused the Big Bang. So the entire point was to first ask where did the Earth came from, where the sun came from, where the galaxies came from, so on and so forth. And ultimately we said no, it was because of a Big Bang. Then obviously the thinking mind will always ask, so who caused the bang? Who caused the universe to spring about? Even if you say no, it happened by itself, then they will ask, so what was exactly the cause which caused this, whatever imbalance in these fields, which caused the singularity to break forth, etc. You see, there will be no end to this. And necessarily, that one primary source which we take on belief has to be this Swayambhuvaha. ऊर्ध्वगात्मा पशुपतिर्वातरंहा मनोजवः चंदनी पद्मनालाग्रः सुरभ्युत्तरणो नरः. Urdhvak, one who is in the upper direction or one who represents the direction which goes up. And up here also refers to the Kundalini, the even in our spine. We are perhaps the only few animals which actually has the leg down and the head above. So if you look at many of these creatures, all these mammals, lions, etc., the level of their head and their body is the same, right? And so which means where the level from the ground at which digestion happens, where reproduction happens, is also the level at which their thinking happens. That's a very nice metaphor for saying their level of thinking, quite literally, is just their natural instincts. But humans, because we stand erect, it's somehow completely against gravity. We can say maybe the giraffe, but again, giraffe also has four legs and it can't really stand erect. So humans are one of the few creatures which can actually stand tall, erect. Uh, Even the dogs and bears can actually do it to some degree. Kangaroos also to some degree, but not always. Thus representing the greatest or the out of all the creatures, the living moving creatures, we are completely against gravity. And gravity, again, as we all know, is the pull of Muladhara, is the pull of materialism. So we, even by evolution, have come to a point where we try to minimize the effect of gravity on our body, which is why we are standing straight, right? Because if you stood horizontal, then it would be maximizing. If you lay on the ground, though, it is complete surrendering to gravity itself. So we stand erect. So he is the urdhvak, that evolution which takes us up and away from materialism. Urdhvak, Atma, the soul. Pashupatihi, lord of creatures. Vata Ramha. Vata is what? Can anybody tell me, answer this? We have been discussing it so many times. Vata. Anybody knows what Vata is? Vata is also a term which we see in Ayurveda. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata means air. It Vata is air, which means something which causes bloating, something which causes expansion, which always is on the move. Vata, wind. So he is Vata Ramha. Ramha means one whose power or whose agility, whose speed, Ramhas means speed or pace, is as quick as the wind. Vata Ramha. Manojava, very popular adjective for Hanuman because he also is the putra of Vayu and his mind is very quick. Manojavaha. Chandani, one who wears sandalwood, one who decorates himself with sandalwood. Chandani. Padmanalagraha, one who is so sharp like the stem, not even a stem, the apex, agra, the apex of the stem of the lotus. So it refers to the budding phase of the stem. You see, a padma, when it buds, it becomes like an arrow, very sharp, very pointy to touch also. That is what Shiva represents, both in terms of his focus of mind as well as in his character, being very sharp, very direct and straightforward. Padmanala Graha. Even his countenance, his body also looks that way because the head is like the small bud, very sharp. The jata looks like a pointed bud, and from that flows the water, just as the bud also oozes water and nectar from it. Padmanala Graha, and he's very slender. Of course, he fasts 24/7 and into 365, into whatever he earns. Padmanalagraha, Surabhi, good fragrance. Surabhyuttaranaha, whose fragrance even surpasses the chemical composition of the heavenly trees. You see that there's this kalpataru in heaven, which is very sweet smelling. And there is also the actual cow called Surabhi, the daughter of Nandi, of Kamadhenu, which is also the goddess of smells, of natural scents, of body odors. Whereas the Kalpataru is the tree or the creature or the entity responsible for plant odors. And Shiva has Uttarana, he has crossed beyond, he has transcended the fragrances of both these. Therefore, meaning his fragrance is not just unnatural, it is supernatural, and not just supernatural, it is supernatural. It is not just heavenly, it is super heavenly. Then he is Nara. He is also the representation of the sum total of all humans. कर्णिकार महास्रग्वी नीलमौलिः पिनाकधृत् उमापतिरुमाकान्तो जाह्नवी धृगुमाधवः कर्णी कर्णी so karnikara means like karni means the ear karna karnikara means the earrings. It can also refer to the lotuses, the full bloomed petals of a lotus is called Karnikara. And how does it relate to here? So either his earrings look like the lotus, or he wears a Mahasragvi, he wears a great garland of lotuses. Again, lotus is a metaphor or is a symbol used for purity of despite adverse circumstances, despite uh, poor backgrounds, one who actually excels and reaches up to the sun is said to be a lotus or a Padma, who is also untouched. So he bears a garland of such souls. And Neela Maulihi, of course, his Mauli means head. His jata is Neela. It is very dark, very thick black complexion. Neela Maulihi. Pinaka Dhrita. And it actually looks so good because he is himself very fair skinned, and he has a very pitch dark hair, and between them are these shards of tamra, of these a few hairs here and there which are copper hued, and the Ganga flowing through his matted hairs, again bringing out that hairy windy look, of course, which is completely uh, brightened by the moon that he wears, the crescent moon. So his entire jata is a depiction of the night sky. So you have the moon, you have rain pouring on a very pitch dark night, and few shards of thunder here and there, which are golden colored, and also the nakshatras, they are representative of the vibhuti, which he smears over his head from his forehead, right? And that is his jata only. That is the entire night sky, the pitch dark night sky. Pinaka dhrita. Pinaka dhrita is, and by the way, this comparison is also made of Lalita Mahatripura Sundari, the goddess, where she said that yes, her hair is all of this, but while Shiva represents the dark night, the pitch dark midnight, Aruna or Parvati, the Shakti, represents that time, that Brahma Muhurta, where the sun is just rising and the sky has begun to turn a little purplish red. And that is very beautifully described in the Saundarya Lahari by showing, oh mother goddess, you wear this sindura on at your forehead, and your forehead is also glistening because it is Aruna. You are called Aruna. You have a very reddish brown purplish complexion, and you wear that sindura right up to your Brahmarandhra, thus representing the very first initial rays of sun which have just begun to rise, which has just begun to rise. Amidst this are the thick black, what do you say, the plates. What we say in Kannada, uh, hane is the forehead, and between those forehead, between in the forehead and the, I don't know how do you put that? Baitale, we say that middle part where hairs are the hairs are separated. What is that called? Party. Okay. 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 Parting. Okay. Okay. The parting. At that position, correct, Sindhura. The vermilion is actually applied there. So she is so beautifully described in that manner. Anyhow, so Shiva himself represents the darkest of nights, Neela Mauli. Again, that is why also Shiva Ratri. It is not Shiva Dinam, it is Shiva Ratri. Neela Maulihi. Pinaka Dhrita. Mm, he holds the Pinaka Dhanush, and it also again refers to his. Now, there is some controversy as to whether the Dhanush that he actually crafted during Tripura Samhara was the same Dhanush which was given to first Parashurama and then to Janaka Maharaja. That is still unclear, but it definitely refers to one of his bows, Pinaka. Umapatihi, the spouse of Uma. Uma Kantaha, the lover of Uma. Jahnavi Dhrit, one who wears Jahnavi. Jahnavi is Ganga, because Jahnavi, Ganga, actually is said to be the daughter of a Maharshi called Jahnu. Jahnu. So she is called Jahnavi. The other meaning is because Janu actually means the knee. So she was born from the knee of Brahma. Then she gained her pace, her strength and cascading effects by flowing through the pada of Vishnu and finally landed on the head, the jata of Shiva. So she's called Jahnavi. Dhruk, one who bears the burden of Ganga itself, Jahnavi Dhruk. Umadhavaha, who is the partner. Dhava means a partner in all affairs. So the equal, the better half of Umadhavaha. Varo varaho varado varenyassu mahaswanaha mahaprasado damana shatruha shweta pingalaha. Varaha, he is the blessed. Varaha, of course, as the great boar, the wild boar. mm, he is, and he is also the Varaha because he blessed Varaha. If you remember the story where Vishnu goes down to search for the feet of the lingam, uh, and Brahma goes up as a swan, as a duck. Mm, but it is Varaha who comes back and reports that he actually was honestly not able to find the end. So he blesses him as having equal stature and equal puja arhata as Shiva itself. Maybe in that sense, he is the Varaha. Varadaha, who gives boons. Varenyaha. Varenya means one who is sought after, one who is in and through all our actions, that which is wanted, that which is chosen. Varenyaha. Sumahaswanaha, who roars, who howls like the wind, like the gushing winds in a thunderstorm. Sumahaswana. Swana means a sound. Mahaswanaha. Sumahaswanaha, a very great sound, which is perhaps the sound of creation itself. Sumahaswanaha. Mahaprasadaha, utterly calm. Mahaprasadaha. Damanaha, who dominates. Damana is dominate. You see, the etymology are also very similar. Damana, the dominator. Shatruha, Shatruha, one who vanquishes his enemies. Shatruha. Shweta Pingalaha. Now we have seen his Krishna Pingala. He has a darkish brown color. Now he is also described as being Shweta Pingala, one who has a very lightish brown color. And how do we understand that? You see, Krishna Pingala are the people who have a slightly wheatish complexion. Shweta Pingala are those who therefore have a slightly fairer complexion. Even in human skin, which is Pingala Varna, there are some who are more fair skinned and some who are more dark skinned. So Shweta Pingala and Krishna Pingala. It can actually also refer to the nadis themselves. You see, the Shweta Nadi is the Sushumna, the white, crystal white, um, transparent Nadi which is in within us. And Krishna Pingala is the actual Pingala Nadi, the right side Nadi, which is dark, which is um, quite reddish brown in color, in hue, they say. So it is Krishna Pingala in that sense. It is also the Shweta Pingala in the Sushumna sense. पीतात्मा परमात्मा च प्रयतात्मा प्रधानधृत् सर्वपार्श्वमुखस्त्र्यक्षो धर्मसाधारणो वरः. Pitatma, who is yellowish in color. Pita means yellowish in color. It also refers to the Manipura chakra, the chakra of the stomach, of belly, which is bright yellow, bright orangish yellow. Of course, because of the fire there, the fire element there. And therefore, he is Pitatma, the lord of that chakra. His second meaning is Pita means one which is completely drunk. Pitatma means one who has completely sated or quenched his soul of all desires. So he has completely drank the Amrita and he has become a Pitatma, like a drunkard, one who is completely inebriated. Pitatma, Paramatma, Cha Prayatatma, is the soul who always strives, Prayata, always is striving and always in self-control. Prayatatma, Pradhana Dhrita, one who sustains that which is Pradhana, that which is prominent. You see, in every system, in any organization, there needs to be some people who are more prominent than the others, because otherwise the structure will completely collapse. Which is also the reason why, these organizations, these corporates, which so-called have a very flat hierarchy of control, they actually don't really scale up well. And there is also a psychological reason behind it, because when there is complete autonomy, and when I see my boss to be my equal, there is this innate tendency to rebel against his or her commands or his or her requests, because then I see, so there is not much power difference, and therefore why should I even obey? And by such a thinking, yes, there it promotes autonomy, it also promotes independent thinking and freedom. However, for particular tasks alone, such freedom would be necessary. Whereas in most cases in the world, at least materially to operate, you will need a certain hierarchy. So he is the one who actually supports the hierarchy, pradhanata, pradhanvada, is say. The philosophy behind having hierarchies, hierarchism. Pradhanadhrita, sarva parshva mukha, three akshaha. He has three eyes, three akshaha. That is simple to understand. Sarva parshva mukha. His faces, these five faces, are facing all the four adjacent directions. Parshva means adjacent. Sarva parshva, which are facing the adjacent directions. So today in the group, I have posted one picture of Sadashiva, who is said to have five faces. And so the four faces direct in the four directions. And the fifth one actually is above all these, which represents Sadashiva himself. So these four heads represent the four most prominent uh, processes of the creation of the universe, which is first creation, therefore Brahma, preservation, Vishnu, destruction, Rudra, and concealment, which is called Ishvara. So if we were to think in terms of a laptop, you see there is one manufacturer, that is Brahma, then one who keeps repairing it and ensuring it runs smoothly, that is Vishnu, then one who scraps it, that is Rudra, and one who collects those parts which are scrapped, recycles them, and furnishes it to the manufacturer. So that is actually the Ishvara Tattva there. So these are the four basic functions of a god, and all these are parts of Sadashiva. So Sarva Parshva Mukha, one who has the four adjacent faces facing in all directions. Sarva Parshva Mukha, Triakshaha, three eyes. Dharma Sadharanaha, whose very casual behavior itself constitutes dharma. And this is also true of many of the enlightened sages. You see, in the Vedas also it is said that no restriction, no injunctions of the Vedas or of any scriptures are strictly adherable by the Brahmajnanis. Kamani Kamarupi Anusancharan. He can be whatever he eats, he can eat whatever he likes, he can wear whatever he wants. That is how they define it phraseologically. So it means why he can be whatever he wants, he or she wants. So that is how a Brahmajnani can be. It is not how we must be, but that's how an Avadhuta, Dattatreya, for example, also was. So no injunctions of the scripture actually bind on them. And what they do somehow constitutes the inner fountain of dharma itself. Interestingly, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, there is something called as the Ritambhara Prajna, which is I think the last stage after Kaivalya, the prajna which comes, that innate intelligence, I would say, I would translate it as intelligence, prajna, which is ritam bhara, means which will always support bhara, means to support rita, which means satya, which means that which is the cosmic law and order. So Rita, Satya, and Dharma are all synonymous. They're just different ways of looking at the same cosmic fundamental principle. Rita, Satya, and Dharma. And it is said to be Ritambhara Prajna. And then there is the Vrishti, the rain of Dharma, Dharma Vrishti, which means whatever thoughts they get will now completely be a reflection or a mirroring of what the cosmic order is. It is no more this particular person's thoughts. So it is no more this particular person's behavior. It is the universe speaking through them. Dharma Sadharana, he is that. Varaha, he is the blessed one. Let's just do one more and we'll wrap up. Chara charatma sukshmatma amrito go vrisheshwaraha sadhyarshir vasuradityo vivaswan savitamritaha. Chara charatma, quite simple, quite self-evident. It is one who moves and who doesn't move. Anything which has kinetic and achara, which is potential. Even a mobile has some components which are accessible to the user and some which are not, which are potential. Similarly, chara, like animals and plants and these amoeba and all these viruses which can move, and achara which do not move, like the non-sentient beings. Maybe trees also, we can include them as acharas. Sukshmatma, one who is very subtle. Amritaha, the indestructible. Govrisheshwaraha, Govrisheshwaraha, the Ishvara, the Lord of Go and Vrisha, of cows and oxen. Go Vrisha. Vrisha is oxen. Go is the female. The female and the male cattle. Go Vrisheshwaraha. Therefore, representing again the feminine sattvic and the feminine and the masculine sattvic energies. Go in scriptures are always used to represent the Sattvika Rasa, the Sattvika Guna. So the Lord of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Go Vrisheshwaraha. Sadhya Rishihi. Sadhya Rishihi. He is a Rishi and he is a Sadhya. Sadhya means one who is still on the path of sadhana. He's called a Sadhya Rishi. So he represents all of us. We may be at different milestones in our journey, but we are all, to our good satisfaction, all an amsha of Shiva itself. Sadhya Rishihi. Vasuhu. He is the great treasure. Vasuhu. Adityaha. It can also mean the Vasu Devatas. So there are many kinds of Devatas. There are the Adityas, there are the Rudras, there are the Vasus, the Ashwinis, then there are the Maruts. So he represents the Vasu Devatas, the Aditya Devatas, and Vivaswan. Vivaswan is the solar center itself. The nuclear center, the core of the sun is called Vivaswan. Savita, the outer part of the sun is called Savita, and Amritaha, once again, it means the immortal, the unchangeable. So, in all, it just the last line represents the sages and the devatas who are completely immortal and beyond physicality. So, let's stop here and check if there are any more inputs, comments, suggestions, additions. Please go ahead. Hopefully by tomorrow and day after, I'll be able to finish up 153. And by end of February, Wednesday, I will have been able to successfully complete even the Uttara Pitika, which is called the Phalashruti. It just hardly takes about a day to complete, only 30 shlokas. So we can practice that, and the next day we can actually discuss the meanings briefly too. Any comments? Okay. So if there are no more inputs, we can close the class, dismiss it for today. Somehow I get the feeling all of you have become munis. Muni comes from the word mauna. They have taken to mauna. And whether it's a good or bad sign, I'm not sure. But definitely I am a sadhya rishi. So you guys should definitely enlighten me with your own inputs. Namaste.
Are we audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. This is about Swayambhu. There's one concept in software design. It's a pattern which can be related.
Tell us.
Uh, like it's a concept called and it's called as object oriented in the sense everything in the world is an object and they have some particular attributes and they do the functions and all are derived. All are, I mean, like a car, and every model is a derived from the car. Car itself again from the like a vehicle again from a super object. It's called as an object. So if you take that and apply to the Vedanta or a spiritual aspect, Bhagwan or a Paramatma himself is a Parama object. And uh, how it's like manifestation happens is Swayambhu. There is a concept also called as a single that that particular object creates itself and no one can create. But it creates, there's a way of, ensuring that no other object creates it. In a sense, as a customer, I can create, ensure, or otherwise, I'll place an order to a car, the car gets manufactured. But in this case, the car itself gets created for a usage. So, in the sense, making car itself as a super object, which nobody can create. I mean, example of Paramatma or Swayambhu, where God himself gets created and allows himself to be a template, but templates are variants and they are in the different forms of a different, chara chara, both.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so nice. It's a
But
very nice, interesting correlation. Yes.
actually, this kind of thing, few of our interested people, we started working on it some 20 years ago. And then we could able to see that like Advaita Siddhanta, especially in the object in looking at the complete universe as an object being of it's a manifestation of the one Parama object. He himself is a template for all of us. Only thing is we vary with our time and space and utilization.
Correct, correct, right. So, this is beautiful, very beautiful. Thank you. Yes, Bhavani ma'am had her hand up.
Uh,
Yes.
Regarding the same thing, the Chara, uh, Chara, so, so this is the Acharatma. I was like, he's saying it represents maybe his absolute nature. So, so there is no movement, the concept of movement at all in that. Uh, because where there is nothing but the absolute reality existing, and it is the phenomenal world is only his projection. So once that projection happens, you can see the Chara aspect of it. The Chara aspect of him being the absolute reality in the Vedantic sense. So I was looking at it like that. So I don't know if that is right.
That's really, really great. Yeah, correct. I mean, I hadn't thought of that way. Correct. Shara and Achara, correct. Again, Achara takes us to Sthira, which is Shiva, correct. Yes. Brahma and Maya, correct. Hmm.
Also, that they speak of one, mm, that Brahman is a kind of unborn. And what was that in the Mandukya? I think there is some reference that Aja and all those things, and only he is. So, uh, so that aspect of reality, yeah, just like you were saying, and
Great. Is it Ajatavada? Ajatavada you're referring to? Right.
so that
Correct. Only he is and nothing else is. Only God is. I think Swami Vivekananda also made a very powerful statement like that, right? In his conversation with Swami, I mean, Sister Nivedita, when she says, "So is your teaching that everything here is God?" Then he corrects her slightly and says, "This is not. I have never said such weird philosophy or something."
so actually that is there not with Sister Nivedita, it is with one other disciple, some Western disciple, lady, who
Okay.
said, so everything is God, but I have never taught such strange philosophy.
Ah, right.
So, so what is what is he was trying to say is when in the Advaita state, nothing else is. And when you come to Dvaita, there is subject object. When in Advaita,
Hmm.
it is like just like everything has become like if you there is no the differentiation no actually like everything is made of wax, so there is no the whole universe, let's say everything is made of wax, so it's just one substance. So
Correct.
so uh, when you talk of Dvaita, then everything is, I mean, existence is here. There is just nothing. I mean, only absolute is and nothing else is. So,
Mm.
yeah.
So magnificent. Correct.
Actually, if anybody is interested in the Swami Kuteshwarananda, he has explained this aspect and this example in the Narada Bhakti Sutra.
Mm.
It is a small book by him, Narada Bhakti Sutra. And on page 99 of that book, this thing is very nicely mentioned.
Okay. If it's possible, can you please share at least a picture or something? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Astu, धन्यवाद. धन्यवाद. Astu, we shall wrap up and meet you all, Mahilas, tomorrow at same time, 7 o'clock. I hope Sunday is fine. We'll just quickly be done with it, and Monday and Tuesday we will finish off with uh, the Phalashruti, and then we are free to do engage with our other commitments. I will not come in your way. Astu, धन्यवादः. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.